Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Welcome to this segment of Coach Gurbani's a-sabad-a-day. Our recitation is Gauri Cheti Mahalla Pehla. Aukhadh Mantr Mul Man Ekai, Jay Kari Drid Chit Ki Jai Re. Janam Janam Ke Paap Karm Ke Katan Hara Li Jai Re. मन एको साहिब भाई रे तेरे तीन गुणा संसार समावै अलख न लखना जाई रे रहाओ शक्कर खंड माया तन मीठी हम तो पंड ऊंचाई रे रात नेरी सूझस नाही लजटू कस मूसा भाई रे मनमुख करे तेता दुख लागै गुरमुख मिले वड्याई रे जो तिन किया सोई होआ कीर्तन मेटिया जाई रे सुभर परे ना होवे उने जो राती रंग लाई रे सुभर परे ना होवे उने जो राते रंग लाई रे तिनकी पंख होवे जे नानक तो मूड़ा किछ पाई रे. This Shabad talks about Aukhadh Mantr Mul Man Ekai, the one essence, the cure for the root ailment of the mind. Aukhadh Mantr Mul Man Ekai. Aukhadh is a medicinal herb or a plant, and is a generic term actually that is used for a cure, a treatment, healing. Aukhadh. Mantra, of course, is a formula, is a mystic syllable, is a spiritual sound, but it is also counsel, to advise. So in Gurmat, the mantra is just one, and that is the counsel, the teachings of the Shabad Guru. Guru wisdom is the mantra. So what Guruji is saying here is that the one essence of all cures is the Sabad, the counsel of Gurmat. Je kar drid chit ki jare, only if you pay attention to it. So in other words, without active, attentive listening and absorbing, suniye maniye, nothing's going to happen. So the Guru is advising us, lijare, partake of that cure. It is the destroyer, janam janam ke paap karam ke katan harare. Now, janam we have translated to mean the conditioning, the previous conditioning of the mind. In other words, all of the conditioning that the mind has absorbed through time and its prevarications, paap, missing the mark, clouded judgment, janam janam ke paap karam ke katana hara hai. This cure, this Shabad, will cure you of your prevarications, your perversions, your clouded judgment. So the Shabad then, or the discourse of Guru wisdom, is the formula for making the fragmented mind whole. That is, to bring the mind in union with the self. Mul man ekai. It could be read this way as well. Beautiful usage of the words here. They can be treated in multiple ways. So the Sabad, or discourse, Guru wisdom, is the formula for making the fragmented mind whole. Now, union with the self simply means to enable the mind to transcend its boundaries and awaken to a higher consciousness. And then in the Rahau, in the central thrust of this passage, Man eko sahib paire. Man, the mind is being addressed. Eko sahib paire. Tere teen gun sansar samave alakhna lakhna jaire. Here's the key. The Guru says, the master of the universe, Sahib, is present in your mind, addressing the brother, another. Oh brother, he says, oh paire, man eko Sahib, the master of the universe. In other words, the creative potency of the universe is present in your mind. But tere teen guna sansar samave. You are limited by the play of the three primary qualities, which we have seen previously are referred to as Sato, Rajo, and Tamas. These are the qualities that come together in ever-changing configurations to shape the moral quality of the mind, the quality of our intentional actions. Tere teen guna sansar samave. So what Guruji is saying, the master, the potency of the universe is within you, but you are limited by the play of these primary qualities because they are the ones that give shape to the ego. And so therefore, the formless self, the potential, the potency cannot be seen with physical eyes. So here's the instruction that really Gurmat is an inner pathway and it requires us to transcend the senses. And that is what the Shabad teaches us how to do. In other words, it teaches us how to exceed our own selves, how to develop ourselves, how to cultivate the potential, the creative potency of the universe that is passing through us as well. That's really the whole point. The mind carries within it the seed of the Creator, the Sahib. It is in seed form. So this suggests that the mind has limitless possibilities if only we choose to exploit them by paying heed to the Shabad. So there is a root ailment that was referred to in the first verse. That condition is described in this Rahau Pankti as tere teen guna sansar samave. Here is the problem. Acting under the force of ego. So because we are acting under the influence of ego, and the ego is clouded judgment, because it is blinded by Lobh, Dvesh, and Moh. In Gurbani, it tells us that these are the underlying conditions. Moh, Lobh, they inform the ego, they cloud the judgment. And that is why we are constantly transgressing. In other words, we are constantly missing the mark. And that is the conditioning that comes to wrap around the mind. We become robotic and continually creating the mind's conditioning, thickening it. And what happens is we start to sakkar khand maya tan meethi ham to pand uchai re. The individual begins to enjoy and comes to enjoy the pleasure of the senses, attachments. Sakkar khand maya tan meethi. But he reminds us, the Guru reminds us, ham to pand uchai re. But actually it is a burden that one comes to carry. It becomes a burden because the judgment is constantly clouded, because we are acting out of the ego, selfish interests. And then time is short. It's running out. Raat aneri sujas nahi, lajtukas musa paire. Oh my brother, you're being mesmerized by the sweet allure of Maya, the world play. It's seductive. It draws the mind into the web of attachment, of aversion and delusion, moh. And this is that burden of ignorance that we carry through in life. And Raat Aneri Sujas Nahi, in Gurbani, life has been equated to the night and darkness to spiritual ignorance. So in other words, we are leading life in a state of ignorance. And what happens is, Lajtu Musa Paire, Sujas Nahi, we are unaware. We are blind to the fact that the thread of life, Laj, thread of life, is being gnawed at by the mouse of time. Tukas Musa Paire. In other words, life is short and we are burdened with a lack of self-awareness. And so we are really acting out of the ego and manmukh. So what happens to the manmukh? Manmukh kare, teta dukh lage. Egoic actions will only rebound on you. Gurmukh mile vadai re. Gur guidance will bring that self-awareness that we need. And what is that self-awareness? Here, what he is saying is, Jo tin kiya soi hua kirtana metya jai re. This is the first awareness that has to dawn, that as you sow, so shall you reap. That is the immutable law that cannot be erased. Kirtana metya jai re. Jo tin kiya soi hua kirtana metya jai re. This is an instruction to become aware of the immutable law, the hukam, that operates and governs the universe. We need to harmonize with it, and we need to understand this basic thing, that as you sow, so shall you reap. There are consequences for one's actions. And if one's actions are egoic in nature, well, then the consequences are even graver. So in the end, like in all passages, there is a clue, there is an indication of those who are imbued with the love of the self. Jo ratte rang laere. Love of the self. That awareness, that desire for harmony with hukam should arouse in ourselves a desire, a love for the self, to want to know the self. In other words, to want to develop our capacities. Such people, such individuals, the Guru says, subhar pare, na hove une. Subhar pare, they are filled to the brim with devotion. Subhar pare, na hove une. Never without dedication. Une means empty. That is to say, they're never without devotion and dedication. Tinki panko hove je Nanak. If I could be like the dust at their feet, in other words, if I could follow their example, O Nanak, then my foolish mind could learn something. Tau moda kichapaire. So essentially, we have to heed the Sabad, the instruction of the Guru. We have to cultivate self-awareness. And the first step is understanding that actions have consequences, and therefore we need the right moral imperative, the right moral guide to determine the quality of our intentional acts, because the ego itself does not know what is good for us. It misleads us. It makes us addicted to sensory pleasures. It makes us addicted to attachments. So it restricts us, it conditions us, and prevents us from discerning the creative potency that lies behind everything. So we can't go beyond the physical senses. What we don't see, we don't know, we don't think it exists, but the Guru is saying that that creative potency cannot be seen with the physical eyes. So you have to get past the physical to see as in with the eyes of intuitive awareness. On that note, until the next time, Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh.